Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster, and I thought I'd do a video today about another piece of carving that I want to do, and that is a Kuksa. Now, I have made one once. It was a very long time ago, and I'll be brutally honest, it was an appallingly horrible piece of carving. So what I've done, I've cut out some of the boring work. So I've roughed out a blank earlier today, partly because I forgot to turn the camera on, and secondly, you don't really want to see me sitting there with just sawing pieces of wood, I'm sure. But just for those who are interested, what I have done, I've taken a round of birch, I've used my froe to square it off, and I've then used I've marked out my Kuksa, and then I've used my saw just to cut down and remove a lot of the waste wood. So hopefully you can see okay on the camera here. This is the Kuksa I've got marked out. You've got the inner bowl, the outer wood, and then a little handle here. And a little tip from me, guys, is if you are making something like this, especially something sort of fairly small scale, what you can do is use your saw and just cut down sort of reasonably close, not right up to, but reasonably close to all your lines, and it just removes an awful lot of the waste wood, which basically means that when you start carving, be it with your axe or a knife or whatever, you've got a lot less material that you need to get rid of. Now what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to bring the camera a little bit closer in. I'm going to show you what I've got set up on my little workbench here, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, so you've seen my carving bench before. It's nice stable bench, and because I want to keep this Kuksa blank still, certainly for the early stages, what I've done, I've marked on the centre here where I want to start carving inwards, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the carving bench in conjunction with this, which is an F-clamp. You can pick these up really cheaply, and what they do, you can adjust them to suit, and then when you fix it onto your material, you start putting pressure on with this little screwdriver here, and it will lock it nice and tight. So I'm just going to set that up now. Let's get that in there. There we go. So that's nice and rock solid in there, that's not going anywhere. And what I want to do, that little cross that you saw in the centre of the bowl, is actually something I want to try, which I've not done before. And that is, I want to try and bore a hole with this, which is my auger. Now it's what's known as a Scotch-eyed auger, and I've basically just taken a little bit of branch. I've been using this same piece of branch for years, to be honest. You just slip that on there, so you've got a nice little handle. You get it in and you just twist it. Now hopefully, let me just see if that picks up on the camera. You can just about see me on the camera there, I think. And all I'm going to do is just use the screw on the bottom of the auger just to get purchase into the wood. And I don't want to go too far with this. All I want to do is basically get the beginnings of a hole going, just so that it will hopefully, and again I haven't tried this technique before, but hopefully it will just give me a little bit of a head start on getting this bowl made. So there we go, we're just about biting in with the actual auger bit itself. You can see those shavings hopefully on the camera there coming up. And I'm not looking to drill a hole all the way through, or even particularly deeply. All I really want to do is just get this sort of started, and it will just help me when I bring my gouge in. Let's see how deep we are. Okay, so that's probably going to do. I'm probably about ½ an inch deep there. I mean, I could go deeper. Let's have a look. Yeah, I could go a tiny bit deeper, I suppose. And again, all this is doing a little bit like, same as when I've shown you about cutting off waste wood with the saw. All it's doing is just removing some of that centre wood early on. It means I don't have to use my gouge or a spoon knife in order to do that. which basically just saves a little bit of time and effort. Now you can use an electric drill for this. As I've said in previous videos, I like using the traditional methods, and the 5 or 10 minutes it's going to take me with an auger is worth it to me, rather than pulling out an electric drill. If that's all you've got to hand, or you want to do it a little bit quicker, by all means do. Right then guys, what I'll do, let me move the camera around a little bit more so you can get a better view of what I'm going to do next, and we'll go from there. So hopefully that's a little bit of a better view for you there guys. You can see hopefully here's the hole. If I just tilt the camera in a little bit like that, you should be able to see that it's not a perfect hole. This is green wood, so obviously the auger won't cut as well as if it was dry, but obviously it's easier to use. And what I want to do now is I'm going to take my gouge, and I just want to start working around this hole. And what the benefit of this hole, and the reason I've done this, and as I say I haven't tried this before, by bringing the gouge in around the hole, I've already removed quite a bit of material here, so in theory it should be easier to work round this, but we'll see if that turns out to be true. And straight away there, in comparison to the other bowl that I'm using, the one, I don't know if you've seen my video, but I've got a series on carving a bowl from end grain, and this is remarkably easier. Now I don't know if it's because I'm working or I'm not working on the end grain as I was with the other one, but this is significantly easier, so I'm not sure how much of it is to do with this hole or not, but I'll certainly be trying this again in the future. Right, now I've very deliberately left this quite shallow guys, and if I just tilt the camera over again, you can kind of see we've got the beginnings of a bowl, and that was actually remarkably easy to do. Now again, how much of that was to do with the little hole I've put in here, which hopefully you can still see, has got filled up with some chippings now, but it's still about 1/4 inch deep. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to move over now to my other gouge, if I can find that in amongst all of my stuff here. And there we go. So you've seen this one before. This is more of a finishing gouge. It's a really nice custom made tool this, and all I'm going to do, I just want to start smoothing out this bowl a bit more. And the reason I want to do this is I want to almost prepare this surface ready for my Twca Cam, which is my Welsh bent knife, which seems, after this, a few times I've sort of had to play around with it recently since buying it, it seems to work slightly better if you've got an already smooth surface. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to smooth this down a little bit, and then hopefully we should be in a position where I can actually show you properly how this Twca Cam works. Now again guys, I apologise for the poor camera work here. I promise I will at some point get round to finding some suitable legs for this. Once I've done that, I can get that right in the middle of the workshop, and then I'll be able to sort of walk 360 degrees around rather than sort of putting my arm in the way and things like that, so you can't quite see what I'm doing. But if I just pull the camera over again, hopefully you can see this is considerably smoother now. It's not much deeper, but it's very smooth to the touch. And what I'll do, let me just I need to dig a few bits and pieces out, but let me move the camera around a bit. I'll grab the Twca Cam and we'll go from there. Okay guys, so I now have my camera quite precariously balanced to get a nice close-up of this, so if it does move or slip at any point, I apologise. Here we have my Twca Cam with the handle that I put on it, which you may have seen my other video on. And the idea behind this is, for those of you who don't know, it's basically a very large version of a spoon knife. Twca Cam, the actual name is Welsh, and my understanding is it translates to bent knife, which it certainly is. It's an extremely sharp blade on here. And the idea is, if you ever used a normal spoon knife, you know, you'll get your spoon and you'll try and scrape out the bowl from the spoon. This is just a bigger version, and because it's two-handed, you can hold it in a variety of different ways, and the idea is you're doing a rotating sort of twisting motion. Now the way I've found this works best for me is I'll have one hand sort of on the front guiding it and applying a little bit of pressure, and then I'll have the other hand on the back basically twisting. So what we're going to be getting is this kind of twisting motion inside, and it will hopefully remove quite a bit of material quite quickly. Now again, because I can only get around to the front end of this bench, I may need to pause this and flip this round. If I do, I'll pause it and come back. But this is the first time I've tried this on a proper bowl, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully you can see this, guys. This is cutting through really well, really nicely. It's difficult, I suppose, to show on the camera, but it's sort of gliding through, like sort of cutting through cold butter with a hot knife. And again, it will take maybe slightly longer than if I was using a more aggressive tool, but what it's doing is every time I make a cut, it's leaving me a really nice clean finish, which is kind of what you want. And I suppose as long as you've got the time to use this, you know, you're not in a big rush to try and get several Kuksas finished or something like that, or bowls for that matter. You know, if you're, maybe it's not the sort of thing you would use if you were trying to manufacture these. Though to be perfectly honest, I've seen Kuksas made through sort of mass production, and people now tend to use electronic tools, you know, proper workshop style tools, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, especially if you're someone who's in business. But for me, and I suspect potentially a lot of you as well, you know, the joy for me is the actual carving itself, and I find it's quite therapeutic, you know, carving like this. But to be honest, straight away here, you know, we've made quite a lot of headway in a very short space of time. And this camera's been running for about 3.5 minutes now, and already there's a noticeable difference in this bowl. And you know, I'm chattering away to you guys while I'm doing this. I have seen people on YouTube who've used the same tool or a very similar tool, and they just kind of crack on with it without talking to the camera. And I haven't quite found it myself yet. I've only used this a few times since I purchased it. But I have seen people who have got into a real rhythm using this, and you know, within minutes they've basically carved out almost the entire bowl of a Kuksa, which is something I certainly aspire to. But again, hopefully guys, you can see this. I'm actually getting close to the bottom of this this borehole that I've drilled. I haven't taken too much off of the side closest to me, this side here, but there's a considerable amount been taken off of here. So what I'll do, I'll carry on this for a couple of minutes, and I'll flip everything round and I'll start on this side. Right then guys, well that's probably about as far as I'm going to take it for this video. Just so you can see what we've done so far, here is now the bowl for the Kuksa. It's only a small one, it's probably going to be used for you know, spirits, a nice bit of whiskey or brandy or something. But what I'll do, I'll leave it there for now. We'll come back and I'll start actually shaping the bowl itself, getting the handle made and things like that in the next video. But I hope it was useful guys. Comments and questions in the box below. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you'll all join me next time. Thanks guys.